We begin our look at sports with March Madness. Last week on the show, we talked Syracuse basketball and collectibles with alum Brandon Steiner. We must be good luck here at BronxNet. The Cuse is Sweet 16 bound and will play number 2 Houston Saturday night. Syracuse is the 11th seed. What a tourney it has been for them so far. Meanwhile, the Iona men's basketball team could not upset Alabama. Bama puts together a late run to end the Gales season. Nonetheless, it was a memorable one for Rick Pitino and company in New Rochelle. I expect them to win the MAC again next year. Also of note, the Fordham women fell in the WNIT, and the men's basketball program at Rose Hill in the Bronx is reportedly getting closer to naming their new head coach. The Rams are also gearing up for their first football game of the season this weekend. Imagine that. Football that counts, actually counts in the month of March. On another positive note locally, high school sports is returning in the Bronx and New York City. The PSAL, the public schools, announce a plan. The games will be back in 2 weeks. That's so great to hear. Speaking of being back, how about Blake Griffin in Brooklyn? The former All-Star hasn't dunked in 2 years, or should I say hadn't dunked in 2 years. Now a member of the Nets, he found his old form. We asked him about it.
I knew, once it happened, it was going to be a thing. And so I tried not to look at the bench when I was coming back down, but then I kind of peeked over and I saw DeAndre all the way out on the side, and I saw everybody standing up. So, it's hard not to smile in that situation, but, felt good to just get that out of the way and, move on.
Here's head coach Steve Nash on Blake's return.
I thought Blake was great. If I look, I don't think he stuffed the stat sheet, but just his experience, intelligence, made winning plays. In 15 minutes, he was a plus 12. So I thought Blake was great, and you can see how he can help us.
Meantime, the Knicks got back to 500 Tuesday night in a win over Washington. Final score, 131-113. What a drumming by the Knicks. On the baseball diamond, next week will be opening day in the BX, Thursday, April 1st. Down in spring training, Aaron Judge says the Pinstripers have plenty of depth on the roster to chase a World Series crown in 2021.
The depth we have on this team, up and down through our rotation, our relievers, even our lineup. We got 5 or 6 outfielders, quite a few infielders, all guys that, should be, caliber of starting somewhere, starting on this team, starting on 29 other teams, and that's what you want.
And Mets camp new star Francisco Lindor hit 4 homers in 5 games. The standout shortstop is all his teammates could talk about.
It's obviously great to see Francisco in the lineup. Force from both sides of the plate, and the way that he's fit in here has been so quickly has been pretty remarkable. So we like the team we have right now, and we think we're going to be pretty good this year. So, I think it's easy to look at the future and say, we could have a lot of fun.
Staff ace Jacob deGrom will toe the rubber next Thursday night against Washington. He squares off against Mad Max on opening day.
I enjoy going out there and competing against Max. Those are normally fun games, and we both love competing. So. Go out there and try to leave it all out on the field, and whoever had the better day is probably going to win that game.
Looking ahead at the upcoming baseball schedule, the Yankees and Mets will play on 9/11 this year. That's the 20th anniversary of the tragic events of that day right here in New York City. We caught up with former Mets star and Hall of Famer Mike Piazza on what all that means. You may remember Mike hitting that big home run for the Amazons in the first game back in 2001.
I'm sure it's going to be an emotional night. And we haven't finalized all the plans yet, but yes, I look forward to being there and reconnecting with a lot of characters and individuals that obviously went through that week. So it's tough. It's going to be very difficult, of course, recounting all those memories, but ultimately that's I'm sure what they would want is the celebration of life instead of the sadness.
In football news, the Giants and Jets have been active in free agency. Big Blue has stolen some of the headlines recently, though, most notably the additions of star wide receiver Kenny Golladay and a corner, Adoree Jackson. Here's more in our Giants report.
We haven't even stepped on the practice field yet. I know one thing for sure. I'm going to go out there and do all I can to help this offense go. whenever they need me, I'm going to be out there to pretty much make a play.
As long as you stand mentally sharp and making sure you're on top of everything, you got to have your mind and your spirit all aligned. If those two are aligned, then it's easy for you to go out there and the physical aspects will follow. So for me, I'm just doing what I've been doing and staying the course. I always, Nipsey Hussle talk about it's a marathon and not a sprint. And for me, just staying on this marathon that I've been through, I experienced the highs and the lows.
Time for some quick hitters from around the world of sports. Formula One and MotoGP are back this weekend. F1 is in Bahrain, and MotoGP gets started in Qatar. Motorsports about to kick into high gear stateside. IndyCar will be underway shortly in April, and the NASCAR Cup Series is at Bristol this weekend. Moto America and the best of North American motorcycles also starts in the month of April. My story of the week goes to a local standout making national headlines. The son of former Yankees and Mets left-hander Al Leiter. Jack Leiter improved his draft stock on Saturday by throwing a no-hitter at Vanderbilt's 5-0 win over South Carolina. Leiter is a New Jersey native who played high school ball in Morristown. The right-hander struck out 16 and retired the final 27 batters in order after issuing a leadoff walk in the first inning of that game, just missing the perfect game. He threw 124 pitches, 81 for strikes. He's a leading contender to be the #1 overall pick in July. This will be Leiter's second turn in the draft. The Yankees selected him in the 20th round of the 2019 MLB draft, even though he was set on attending Vandy. The Pittsburgh Pirates will get the first chance to call Leiter's name this time. Maybe the Yankees can reunite with him in 6 or 7 years like they did with Garrett Cole. Congrats to Jack and the Leiter family. We hit the C-list for a tribute to one of the NBA's best all time. R.I.P. to Hoops great Elgin Baylor. He died on Monday at the age of 86. Though the Lakers legend's exploits are often lost to time, his style of play and trailblazing work off the court helped forge the league as we know it today. I say it all the time, legends of yesteryear often get bypassed for their greatness, because time seems to help us forget memories. It would be like that great book on your shelf that you read 10 years ago that you swear is the best, but you can't seem to recall all the details from it. That tends to be the case with the stars of yesterday. We focus on the now, we focus on the present. But let's not forget Elgin Baylor. Baylor had the deepest off-the-dribble repertoire of his era, and he used every trick in it to score 23,149 career points over 14 seasons. Baylor did all of this after entering the NBA at the age of 24, and imagine all of that was compiled without a three-point line. When he was done, Baylor was the third leading scorer in NBA history behind two guys named Wilt and Oscar when he retired in 1972. He now ranks 36th on the all-time NBA/ABA leaderboard. 36th is easy to lose in the shuffle, but Baylor averaged 38.3 points per game during the 1961-62 season, the fourth highest single-season average in association history, while spending a large chunk of it as an active-duty Army reservist who could play only on weekends and when given special clearance. How ironic. Baylor performing at an all-star superstar level while on leave from serving a country that continued to treat him and people who looked like him as second-class citizens. And even more so, the NBA game then wasn't on TV the way that it is now. Legendary Lakers play-by-play man Chick Hearn once said, open quote, "He just might be the best player I ever saw. He was doing things that Dr. Julius Erving made famous 20 years later, the hang time and so forth. But Elgin didn't have the TV exposure. Nobody did in those days," close quote. And this coming from Chick Hearn, who saw all the Laker legends through 2002, names like Magic, Kareem, Kobe. Elgin was a crusader for black athletes and ensured that the game would be integrated, standing up against the powers that be and forcing change. Baylor once said, open quote, "I'm no pioneer or anything like that, but I'm interested in my people and I'm interested in progress. I'm Elgin Baylor, and I don't want anything more than I'm entitled to, or less." Close quote. I'll leave you with this. Baylor is one of just 10 players ever with at least 10 All-NBA first-team appearances. Only LeBron James, Bryant, and Karl Malone have more. Nearly 50 years after his retirement, his career scoring average of 27.4 points per game still ranks third all-time, behind only Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan. He still ranks 11th in rebounds per game, too. How could we ever forget that? That's your sports. I'm Bobby C.